Welcome everybody, this is the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform weekly community call with Microsoft presenters, and we're having this call every single Tuesday at 8 a.m. Pacific time, and that is roughly 3 p.m. GMT, if I'm not mistaken, 4 p.m. Central European time, and so on and so on and so on. There's too many time zones in the world to actually list them all. But anyway, every single week, 8 a.m. Pacific time, and we have always Microsoft demos within this call. So that's really the objective of this one. And then we have additional calls for the community-powered demos. In here today, we're going to go through the typical set of assets which are available to get started on the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform sites. And then we'll start with a first demo with Satya Ravender around AI 0 to 1 and building an expert finder with SSO in Copilot as a Teams AI-based messaging extension using multi-parameter search. Wow, mind-blowing, a lot of long things and mentioned over there, but we will get more clarity on that one as we go to the demo. And then the secondary person of doing the demo today is Daniel Laskowicz, Cloud Advocate, who's going to show building reusable AI prompts in Copilot Studio to increase productivity. Now, a lot of AI stuff, a lot of Copilot stuff, intentionally also within this course. And that's not the only thing what we cover within this course, but especially now that we're just rolling out new capabilities and features here and there around Copilot, we will focus on those here as well, because people are interested in seeing this stuff in practice and what you can build together with Copilot and Copilot Studio and Teams AI and all of this cool stuff, which is available already. Yesterday, we did have a big event related on latest announcements on Wave 2 on the Copilot. We will mention that in the news section. We will paste in the links in the chat in a second as well for those, so you're able to double check what on earth was actually announced. There was like 6 different blog posts on different things getting announced yesterday around Copilot. This is really cool. A lot of innovation coming up, not just with Copilot, across the stack. Now we do have a lot of assets for you to get started with with this learning journey and starting to use all of these capabilities. So we do have our Microsoft Community Learning videos channel where you can go and see the recordings. The recording of this call will be also published there within 24 hours after the call. We have our LinkedIn page and LinkedIn group. We have open source assets, but as it might be a bit difficult to find the relevant asset for you, then you can use the sample galleries, and those are a great way of finding this relevant sample. And there is a lot of samples for you to take advantage. So rather than starting from scratch, go and have a look. If you're interested on AI prompts or Copilot prompts, guess what? We have those as well. So you can actually go to a catalog of prompts, having a look on, hey, what would I don't know what would I actually use a Copilot for? That's why we have samples. So you will get familiar on the value and power of what you can do with the Copilot. And for all of these URLs, there's a lot of them and a lot of things to follow up. For all of them, you can go AKMS Community Home, which is the centralized location for all of the different assets within these areas. Now, I mentioned the community calls. We have a lot of community calls. This is, again, the Tuesday, 8 a.m. Pacific community call happening with weekly on Microsoft speakers. So from Redmond, from other Microsoft offices, cloud advocates, PMs, engineers, and so on, showcasing you the latest from those people who are actually creating the capability. On top of that, we also have the Power Platform monthly community call, which is more for community presenters, happening actually tomorrow. Tomorrow is the monthly sequence on that one. I think it's the 3rd Wednesday in every single month, if I remember correctly. Then we have Office Science monthly community call, where we have Microsoft presenters, and then our 7 a.m. Thursday series happening every single Thursday. It's maybe now 5 years in a row, and we have not had a Thursday, regardless of holidays, when this call has not happened, either one of them. It's either the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform community call or the Viva Connection and SharePoint Favorite community call every single Thursday, 7 a.m. Pacific time. It's going to happen regardless of the time of the year, which is really cool. For downloading all of the calls and invites, you can go AKMS Community Calls, and for agendas, those are always getting published at our Meetup service, which is a great way of getting emails with the with the agenda details directly within your inbox. So if you want to sign up there, that's a great opportunity to stay up to date as well. Now, I mentioned that some of the calls are actually welcoming community-powered demos, and this is a great opportunity for you to present what you built. That doesn't have to be rocket science, doesn't have to be anything special, and to be honest, what the most what people want is getting started capabilities. So somebody explaining for them in a normal human level, not as a Microsoft marketing level, on how to get started on doing something, how to get the basic stuff done, and then they can learn additional stuff from there. And so doesn't have to be rocket science, doesn't have to be 400 level deep dives, no, not at all. Typically, a bit more simplified scenarios are much more welcoming and have much more views within the YouTube afterwards. Easiest way to sign up, it's really easy to sign up at the AKMS Community Request Demo. You will sign up, fill in the form, and then you will actually get a message, or you will get scheduled on the agenda, and you get that presentation thing. Now, if you're looking into, for example, getting an MVP status, or if you are an MVP and you want to get renewed to be an MVP, great opportunities to actually get some presentation points within these calls. Now, on top of that, we do have a lot of assets to get started on Microsoft Cloud. We have our developer program. Unfortunately, there's still no news on how that program is going to be executed in future. We will keep on posting and asking that internally to get more clarity on that one. We will definitely share more updates immediately when that's there's available on that one. And then there's a lot of learning material available in the Microsoft Learn. A lot of awesome stuff over there. Now, as the Microsoft 365 developer program, that program to get a free tenant, unfortunately, has been on a pause since spring this year. The reason why that happened was a malicious people, bad apples, there's always some bad apples out there, took granted of this free program and started using those tenants in a wrong way. And that was the reason why we were forced to shut that down to minimize any additional problems for causing with those tenants. Right now, we are in this nasty situation that we're saying, hey, build stuff for Microsoft 365 Cloud, but you will not get a free tenant. Now, you will get a free tenant if you are part of the Visual Studio subscription. You will get a free tenant across other programs as well. And in the worst case scenario, you can always buy yourself your own personal tenant, which you don't have to only use for development. You can use this tenant for your future stuff. You can use for this tenant for your family. You can do whatever you want with this tenant. And that's roughly a minimum, say, $72 in a year. Yes, there's a cost, but it's not a massive cost in a year perspective if you want to actually take that option. Now, on top of that, we also have different Microsoft 365 Power Platform shows. We have the PMP Weekly, Mondays, which used to happen in a weekly basis. However, that particular podcast had the final episode aired today, 17th of September 2024. So that you can actually listen to the episode or watch the video. You will get a bit more insights on what's happening there and what's the future within those areas. We also have the bi-weekly happening Mondays at Microsoft together with Caruana and Heather. So there's a great opportunity to stay up to date on things. And then we have the Microsoft 365 Developer Podcast, which is something which is happening well, not every single week, not bi-weekly, but every now and then as a new podcast episodes. Now, quick point on the PMP Weekly. The PMP Weekly podcast kind of at the title sets the scene that it happens every single week. Now, if we cannot actually do that every single week, that's a wrong title for the show. So we're looking into actually continuing, of course, supporting community, providing information, providing thoughts, providing thinking and sharing assets, absolutely 100%, but not within the weekly sequence. So we're looking into changing that a bit together with Waldek and a few other people. Now, I mentioned the sample galleries already. So we do have 2,070 plus samples from Microsoft and community from one centralized location. There is a pump of 25 samples here, mainly focused on Copilot and AI scenarios, which is great. So you can easily find really cool samples which are available from there. So please have a look on that. Now, as you find the sample, you might be wondering, okay, how do I get started on all of this stuff? And unfortunately, David and Hugo are not today on the show, so I will need to act like David. I'm now David. No, just kidding. But we do have our Sharing is Caring initiative available for you, which is really the hands-on guidance. You don't need to know anything. We will guide you through on getting started on learning how to get started on using samples, contributing documents, or consuming some of these materials as well. If you go to the AKMS Sharing is Caring URL, you can actually see the upcoming sessions. For example, samples contributor session in September 13th. So if you've been consuming samples, but you're looking into like, okay, what if I would actually contribute back for the community? You can use that Sharing is Caring session to learn what that is all about and how to get started. Now, as you contribute, the cool thing about contributions is that we will actually give you a badge. We will award you with those contributions with the Credly, the same Credly which is the Microsoft provides the Microsoft certifications. And we provide all the time new patches, new patch types, which you can share within your with your managers, with your company, with your colleagues to prove that you actually contributed within the Microsoft communities as well. So of course, we have renewed all of this for 2024. It's already September. 2025 is coming pretty soon. But we are also looking into having awesome new samples all the time available. So every single month, there's something special happening. And right now we're running the Promptemper month. So if you are contributing the app, the Copilot prompt, you can decide you will get the Promptemper badge. Promptober is coming obviously in October. We're looking into other awesome excitement badges here as well. So a lot of opportunities. But the thing what you need to remember, if you contribute, you need to sign up within that form, which is there, which is AKMS community recognition. So we're able to give you those badges within future. How's the time? Time is good. So quickly running through a few events which are happening. So first of all, the Power Platform Community Conference starts actually tomorrow. Today is the pre-workshop days happening there. You still have an opportunity if you're like, oh, damn it, I didn't know that this is happening. Can I still jump to a plane? Yeah, answer is yes. It starts tomorrow morning in Las Vegas. You still have more than 12 hours to get there, which means that you can get there throughout from anywhere within the world if you have that opportunity to jump to the plane. But that's a great opportunity of engaging with the community in Las Vegas. Now, on top of that, we also have the TechCon 365 happening in Dallas, November 11th to 15th, 2024. Seattle and DC already happened. Right after this episode, we also have the Ignite 2024 happening in Chicago in November 19th to 22. Great opportunity. Also an online option here available. So not all of the sessions will be online or hybrid delivered, but for many who cannot actually join there physically can actually watch the Ignite announcements also remotely. Then followed up on there, we also have the Stockholm 2024 ESBC coming. That's on 2nd to 5th of December. Looking forward on that one. Stockholm is really beautiful in December. A bit dark, but again, hopefully we'll get a bit snow on there and it will be beautiful, even more beautiful than normally in Stockholm. Beautiful city. And then next spring, we'll also have the European Collaboration Summit coming up on 26th to 28th. And already today, you can actually see the plan and workshops and all of that in many of these upcoming MS. So a lot of opportunities to engage with the community. On top of those kind of bigger events, we have our communitydays.org website where you can actually go and have a look on all of the different events which are happening all around the world. So as an example, tomorrow we have the Metaverse One, which is a virtual event. You don't need to pay anything. You can join that from your home. You can watch that in iPad, and there's going to be a lot of cool presenters and presentations within that event. Some of these events are remote. Some of them are in person. Some of them are paid. Some of them are free. A lot of options. Check them out. A lot of stuff happening all around the world all the time. Now, on top of this, obviously, not on top of this. Within the past week, we've been having quite a lot of interesting news, especially yesterday related on the Wave 2 announcement on the Copilot. So a lot of news happening on the Copilot and AI and innovation, not just in there, because we do understand that not everybody has the option of just focusing on Microsoft 365 Copilot. There's a lot of announcements in Teams and Viva and SharePoint and development platform and Power Platform and Power Apps and all of that. And I can imagine that by next week, we are doing a gajillion announcements in the Power Platform as within the Power Platform conference, which is starting up tomorrow. So all of that is coming up later this week. I will actually paste in the massive list of the latest news in the chat if you're interested on checking up any of those. But please have a look on the Microsoft 365 Copilot Wave 2 details. A lot of awesome stuff for both Microsoft 365 and Power Platform. Now, related on Copilot, Power Platform, and AI and all of that, before we go to the crew photo picture, I just wanted to also call out our awesome initiative run by Rabia Williams, who's a cloud advocate. So we are collecting Copilot prompts within a shared GitHub repo. You can contribute, or you can actually use this as a source of innovation for your side. And the basic idea here is that on a weekly basis, we will award a prompt of the week. but everybody can contribute how they are using the Copilot as an example prompt. Easiest way to really learn about these things. So as an example, in this case, create a meeting action items. Rabia Waldek, based on this, create a bulleting list, an action item for me, and Copilot is actually generating some ideas and suggestions, what would be the actions within the upcoming meeting, which is awesome. So it is smart enough to understand who Rabia is, who Waldek is, their colleagues within, say, team, and it's able to double check on the existing emails, and then it's actually giving the latest actions, suggested action list as well. Which is awesome stuff. Now, on this week, we do have a prompt of the week coming up from Jiten Parmar, which is quickly saying that I want to plan a party for my company. We have a low budget, so we have planning to organize it ourselves. Can you please suggest some decoration ideas into a table format, and so on and so on and so on. A simplistic way, not super work related, even though it's a party for company, but it really shows that the Copilot can actually also tap into the web information, also get information from there, and also give relevant information within the context of the company as well. So great example of getting ideas from Copilot. Not that you would have to, the idea here is not that you would use whatever you get from Copilot as such. You will get suggestions and ideas, and then you're able to adjust that based on the company needs. Now, funny enough, did I actually, for whatever reason, somebody has deleted Together Mode Picture Mode promo. It's okay. We will actually move into Together Mode directly in here. Let me do that right about here. I'm moving into Together Mode, and hopefully everything is working as expected. I will put the Camtasia on. We're seeing a lot of people already properly in cameras. There we go. And even I'm here and not super pixelated. And Todd is there. Stephanie is there. Of course, Shao is there, David, Daniel, and so on. A lot of people. Let's wait a few more seconds. We have 50 seats in a room. We do have 185 currently people in the call. So let's wait a while for that one so the people are able to enable the camera and get to the screen. We have Pixel Perfect today in many cases. This is really cool. Why is my Microsoft actually wrong way around? So it's arrow. It is interesting. Anyway, let's not worry about that one. Few more seats in the room. I'm not going to change the mode. I guess we are starting to be pretty full. So let me put the recording on. 3, 2, 1. Let's do some hand waving. Thank you, Todd, for showing the example in the last row. And Danielle in the middle. Yay! Thanks everybody for joining. We'll grab a fun animation out of this and share that again in social media. Excellent. Awesome. Really cool. Always fun, always really fun to do those together. And thank you for being part of the community. Really cool to have you here. Now, then it is actually time to go to the actual stars of the day. And unless I'm mistaken, Satya is on the call, and Satya is ready to start presentation on the AI 0 to 1 series, and then we'll move to Daniel after that. But Satya.
Thank you, Vikram. Thank you. Sharing my screen now. Please to confirm if you're able to see this.
Yep, we got the screen. Take it away.
Awesome. Thank you all. It's great to see a lot of AI enthusiasts joining the call. It's very excited to talk about the samples that we have recently built for our developer friends and share with the community as well. What you have here is a bunch of AI samples that I'm going to present just as a way of introduction. I'm a product manager within teams and Copilot engineering teams. So I kind of work with customers and partners to help build AI integrations, Copilot integrations, and the Copilot agents that we recently announced. So I'll be the go-to person who's working with customers and partners to build all of these. And as part of my day-to-day job, I wanted to make this a bit easier for me and also for my developer friends. And that's how we came up with these samples. What you see in this slide is basically a bunch of different scenario patterns that we identified as something that our customers repeatedly were asking for, things that they found interesting to do with AI, and they were trying to build this on their own. And we thought, why can't we just give this a little bit of nudge and have some open source samples built and then published in our GitHub, so that our customers, partners, developers can pick these samples up, customize it as per your liking, and then use it for your own systems, or take it for your own customers if you're a partner, right? That's the idea of these samples. As you can see, we have around six samples that we have recently open sourced. And the focus of today's call is going to be the export finder with SSO, with an authentication that we have built in. Uh, just before going into the sample, the export finder in detail, just wanted to highlight a couple of things. These are, like I said, open source samples. They're not designed to be full-fledged end-to-end solutions on its own. These are more like, solutions that you can start as a building block. You can have as a starter template, and then you can build, extend it, and then add your own, specific use cases, your own specific rules, business logic to it, so that it becomes like unique to your organization, your business needs, and so on. That's the idea of these samples. So whenever you have a scenario, do check if any of these samples that we have introduced come close to that. And if so, there is a really good starting point that you can start with, and then you can probably like extend it to suit your unique needs. That's the idea of these. And we would definitely want you to, innovate with these and then share with us, like, if you have any feedback, any additional things that you think should be part of our sample gallery, please do keep those comments coming, keep those feedback coming. We are happy to include more and more samples and more patterns as we find them along. With that, getting into the export finder with SSO, as the name implies, this is basically a sample. This is basically a solution where using Copilot, you can ask a question. You can ask Copilot a query on, hey, I want to look up information on, say, cloud computing in my organization. Who is an expert on this, right? Or I have an upcoming project coming up, and my project needs people who are expert in .NET or C Sharp or probably like Node.js, and they should also know React, right? Like, can you provide me people or list me people who are currently available and upskilled on these technologies, right? So these are common kind of like pattern that you see across different customers who kind of like have a lot of project needs, unique needs, where they are building a new team to work on a particular project, or they are building even a hackathon, right? We actually have a hackathon week right now going on in Microsoft. So all of us are always looking for different folks who are expert in different areas. And Copilot being Copilot, it is able to come up with these, these names of people who are in our organization based on whatever is available. If there is information available in your email, in your chat, or in your, in your SharePoint, then it can probably bring this up. But what if this information is available in a separate database? Your organization or your customer's organization has the database of people along with their skill set, along with their years of experience, and some other metadata which can help you make a really good search on the database and bring up relevant people, relevant information based on the kind of skill set you're looking for. But then it's behind an SQL query. Not all of our end users might be familiar with SQL or be comfortable with SQL. So this solution is kind of like the bridging game between the need that we have and the drawback of not knowing SQL or not being comfortable working with the database directly. They can now chat with Copilot in natural language directly, just just expressing what they need in natural language, and Copilot will take care of picking up the relevant pieces of the prompt and then converting it into a set of parameters. In this case, the parameters would be the skill set, and it can even take the location, the requirements or availability requirements in terms of whether they are available or staffed on a project, and use all of this to construct a query, which then runs on the database and brings back the results for the end user. That's the idea of the sample. We'll quickly jump into a demo of it, and then I'll come back to the slide to discuss what else can be done with this, right? Here is a video of how this sample can be used in real world. So as always, like, this is something that you can start with Teams, because we have this chat interface in Teams. You have this Copilot interface where you can have a back and forth conversation in Teams, and that's where we will start with. We are just adding the app as a message extension. This is a message extension based plugin that we have built, which also serves as a Copilot extension. And now it would be a stepping stone for the recently announced Copilot agent as well. So in this case, once we have added the export finder, we turn it on, and then we start speaking with it, speaking with the Copilot. Sorry about the small font, but I think this pretty slow, and I hope like you'll be able to follow this. I'll see if there is a way to zoom in PowerPoint, so probably like I'll use that. So essentially, the Expert Finder sample is currently added as an app, and you are able to chat with Copilot, asking who are the candidates who are based in India and have Azure as a skill area that they are expert on, right? This is a common ask that come in a lot of professional services firm. Take EY, take EY, KPMG. All of this professional services firm frequently look for candidates to kind of like fulfill their resourcing needs. And this is something that you will see being asked left, right, and center on different emails, chat forums, and so on. And people scramble to find a relevant person who can be staffed on a project immediately. Whereas here, they ask Copilot, and here is what happens, right? Copilot in turn calls the message extension plugin that we built, and it is able to call an Azure table on the backend, which has a list of all the employees and stores the respective skill set, and it is able to get the information from them. But before all of that, we said a word called SSO, right? So that's another unique thing that we brought in the sample. This sample is SSO authenticated. What this means is when you start a conversation, if you haven't been authenticated so far, it will show you a sign in button like this, and you can click on the sign in button, right? You click on the sign in button and it opens up a dialog box. Since this is SSO, you do not have to enter your credentials again. It will take this from your team sign in itself, but you just need to look up, you just show you the kind of information that it will need for it to function, and you can just give a consent and forget about it, and this will sign in automatically, right? This is very similar to the SSO that you are familiar in Teams bot, in Teams message extensions, that kind of like translates over here too. Now, once you are signed in, this button goes away, and you are able to continue the conversation with the Copilot plugin as you are previously used to. In this case, we are also working on ways where you can make the sign-in even more easier, where at the toggle stage itself, we'll be helping you sign in without having to do a separate button click here. That's something that we are exploring and will be coming up soon. So once signed in, the app has this token, app has everything that it needs to know about you, your query. Now it actually runs the SQL query in the backend Azure table and brings up the relevant candidates, as you can see over here. I'll take a quick pause and zoom in a little bit. We have asked the question, find candidates who are based in India and have Azure as a skill. Now, out of this natural language sentence, Copilot kind of acts as a filter, which converts this natural language sentence into a bunch of parameters. In this case, the parameters would be based in India. So the location is equal to India. Skill is equal to Azure. These are going to be the two parameters that Copilot will extract from this. And using these two words or keywords, it will form an SQL query and run it against the Azure table. So the result of the table is shown over here. John Doe and Alex Wilbur seem to be the two candidates who match the search. And this is a debug information that we have turned on. So you can see the plugin has actually been called. It has returned a response, and we are able to even hover over and see that add to card that comes up. This message extension, like I mentioned, works separately as a message extension in a chat as well. You need not really need to use it in Copilot. You can use it even outside. You can search for the specific skill set and get the relevant candidates, and even send it across in a chat whenever someone asks for, hey, do we have any resources who are available who have this XYZ skill set? You can even use it as a message extension outside Copilot too. Now, in addition to this, Copilot being a very capable document reader, document processing engine as well. What you can do is, after you get the list of candidates or list of employees who are skilled in a particular area, you can even upload a Word document asking Copilot, hey, can you look up this project that is contained in this Word document, extract the skills that are needed for this project from the Word document, and then use that skill to search in my plugin and get the relevant candidates. So you are kind of like not, you're kind of like relying on Copilot's innate language skills to first read a Word document, extract the skills from the Word document, and then using the plugin to search the Azure table and bring the results back as well. So doing this in a workflow like fashion where you had to do a resourcing need for multiple different projects, it really ends up saving a lot of time. That's a unique advantage of using this method. uh, Again, there is another example over here where we are asking, Expert Finder to find candidates who have SQL as a skill, and we are also passing another parameter who are available, who are currently not staffed on a project, right? So this is another example of a multi-parameter query that we are sending to Copilot, and Copilot is able to intelligently recognize, oh, we are asking for XYZ people who are available and not really staffed, and also skilled in SQL, and is able to search the database based on that. Quickly jumping into the code of how this functions, it'll be good for us to start with how Copilot is able to understand the natural language query and is able to process that, right? So in the manifest.json that we have created for this particular query, this is available in our GitHub. So you can take a look at this after the call as well. But here is where I would start. The manifest.json that you see here, where we have explained to the Copilot, hey, a query, this particular plugin is meant to help the users with finding candidate profiles who match a certain criteria such as skills, location, availability. So use this plugin whenever users are looking for people or candidates or profiles based on skill, based on location or availability. I should be the plugin that you are supposed to call. So this description that you see at this level, the command description, kind of helps the Copilot to determine, oh, whenever I get a question related to XYZ person, I need XYZ person with skill set, or I need this person in this location, those kind of questions I should call Expert Finder plugin. So this line is what instructs Copilot with that information. Once it chooses this particular plugin, based on the query, it then further uses these parameters to deconstruct the sentence, the prompt that we have written, into a bunch of parameters. So in this case, we have defined parameters there could be a skill parameter, there could be a location parameter, and there could be an availability parameter, right? We have described what we mean as skills. Skills are those things that are had by candidates based on which their profiles can be searched, and we are even giving certain example values for skills. Could be .NET skill, Azure, Node.js. So programming skills or hard skills is what we have defined over here. You can extend it to explain it in even more words, using more words. It could be soft skills, it could be any other list of skills that Copilot can classify as skill category. Now, once you have this defined, whenever we write in natural language anything that resembles a skill, Copilot will be able to extract that particular skill keyword, whether you type it, communication skills or managerial or leadership skills. So all of that would be extracted as a keyword and sent to you, using which you can search people whose profile match that particular skill criteria. We also define location and availability in the same way. We describe location as a country or a region's name. You can define it to have a state's name or even to identify pin codes. Copilot will be able to respect that. Availability, in this case, we have it as a binary value, just yes or no, if they are available or not. Sometimes people might want to look up people who are staffed on a project, who are free on a project. So because of this, we have a binary value over here. Now, once we extract these parameters, this is where all the magic happens. Search app.js. This is where we get all of these parameters and store it in a separate variable, in a separate constant. And then we use this to actually search the Azure table. So in this case, once we get all these parameters, skills, country, availability, and not all of this need to be filled. Certain queries can just have skill, availability, and location could be null, and certain queries can have country and others could be null. That's fine. So whichever value is not null, whichever value has something in it, that will be used to fetch candidates. And here is the search logic that we have used, where we are searching the Azure table, and whenever a particular logic satisfies a particular skill set, then that particular candidate is mapped, and we are fetching the candidate over here. So if you see the logic over here, this is where the candidate is being fetched, and we are getting the candidates based on their skill or location, and we are sending them back to Copilot. Now, the way that we are sending them back to Copilot is, once we get the candidates, we are wrapping them in the form of an adaptive card. In this case, we found the adaptive card to be pretty simple. The photo, the profile of a person, the name of the person, what project they are assigned to, and so on. Basic details about the person in sort of FactSet, skills, location, availability, and wrap that information in the form of an adaptive card and send it back to Copilot, so that Copilot displays the adaptive card back to the user. This is what happens in this particular sample. One unique way that you can expand this is, if you have in the manifest.json, you can actually describe this parameter as a comma separated value or an array of objects. So it does not need to hold one skill. It can hold multiple different skills as comma separated values. And your database can do a multi-skill search in one go. It doesn't have to match with just one skill. It can do multiple skill search in one go. You can also do an additional set of parameters related to, say, their business unit, whether they have work permit to work in certain locations. All these other parameters you can add as part of this command. You have a total of 5 parameters that you can add over here, but the unique thing over here is, you don't have to have each parameter as a separate part like this. You can actually describe a parameter as a composite value. You can describe a parameter as filter by parameters, and within that, you can have an object key value pair which describe multiple different parameters in one go. So if you do it that way, whenever you have more than 5 parameters, I would advise you to look at combining all of them into one particular parameter over here as a bunch of key value pairs, and then describe that key value pair as a parameter over here, so that with one parameter that you get from Copilot, you can deconstruct it into, say, 4 or 5 different parameters. That way you can form a really complex query and work with your tables. Coming back to our demo, the one other thing that I wanted to highlight here is, in addition to what you just saw, you can add additional parameters. You can also add automated notification alerts whenever someone gets out of a project, whenever a candidate's availability has changed recently. So all of this is something that you can add as a automated notification, and you can even add, successful placements from past projects to predict best candidates, and Copilot can actually use that as one of its signals to recommend candidates for future projects as well. So this is something that you can absolutely pick up and choose and customize to your unique needs, completely up to how you'd want to build and develop. With that, I'll take a pause and check if there are any questions. Reza, let me know if you have time for questions, or I can take it up on chat.
Let's take the questions in a chat. It's just easier within these calls because we do have a timeline to follow. We cannot go long within the hour.
Absolutely.
But really, really cool. There was a few questions. I think let's follow up on if there's anything on the chat, and if there's any questions from the attendees what you just saw, feel free to ask the questions within the chat as well. But awesome stuff. Thank you, Satya, for sharing that scenario and business scenario, and then also the technical details on that. Really, really cool stuff. Good. Daniel, I think you are ready to go as well.
Yes, I am. So let me share my screen.
And by the way, for Peter's question, that sample is already available. We will share the link in the chat. All of this stuff is already available within locations. But Daniel, we can see the screen. Looking really good. Take it away.
Okay, all good. Thank you. So hi, everybody. My name is Daniel Laskewitz. I'm a senior cloud advocate at Microsoft, and I work with the Power Platform. So I work with Power Apps, Power Automate, Copilot Studio, the whole bunch of the products that are in the Power Platform. And today I'm going to talk about AI prompts in Copilot Studio. It has been introduced not too long ago. So a couple of weeks back, I think they released the capabilities to add AI prompts to Copilot Studio. And for a quick recap, let's talk a little bit about Copilot Studio. So Copilot Studio is good in two big things. You can create your own agents, or what we used to call custom copilots, where you can create an agent for enterprises. So you can, for your own company, for instance, create an agent and then add all kinds of knowledge to it, add all kinds of logic to it. And then you can share that, for instance, on Teams or on Facebook or on all kinds of different channels that you have for the customers of that agent. Also, it can extend and customize the first-party Copilot. So if you want to, for instance, extend Microsoft 365 Copilot, Copilot Studio is a way you can do that. And it doesn't end only at Microsoft 365 Copilot. You also have Copilot for Sales, Copilot for Service, and other Copilots that you can extend there as well. Let's move on to AI Builder, because AI Builder is the part what I was talking about with AI prompts. AI Builder is a service that will make it easier for you to work with AI. It's a low-code service that you can use to easily use models that are already pre-built or that need little configuration. You can also create your own GPT prompts. So we already have those large language models. And of course, we can create prompts on that. But it doesn't make sense to always have the same prompt from a user. And sometimes you also want to make it easier for users to fire a prompt, for instance. So they want to maybe make a shorter text for that prompt. And then the AI prompt can have a lot more information, but it will still get a lot of information. And that will save the user a lot of time. Of course, we also have AI plugins. And those are, for instance, to create extensions for Copilot for Microsoft 365. Let's zoom in a little bit on the prompt. So what you can do is you can define a prompt, and a prompt can have one or more inputs, for instance. You can even ground it in data from Dataverse, for instance. And then people can trigger that prompt. They can trigger it from multiple places. They can trigger it from, for instance, Power Automate, which you can see on the left, or Power Apps, which you can see on the right. But also we can now use that for Copilot Studio. So let's show that in a demo. And I'm going to create a topic inside of a Copilot to show you how the AI prompts work. So here we are in Copilot Studio, and I already created a Copilot. And it's pretty cool because this is a template. It's called the Safe Travels template. And what you can do here is you can just use that template and it will automatically get a travel website for the US, for instance, in there. But you can also add your own regional travel website, for instance, if you want to. And then you can ask questions. So you can already ask about what is the US visa policy, for instance. And then when you send that, it will already answer those questions. And that shouldn't take long. I hope there we go. So here it already shows an answer about the US visa policy. And when I hover it at the bottom, I hope you can see that it's travel.state.gov website, and that's the website from the US travel website, for instance. But in this case, I want to create a topic and I want to do something more because I can add all kinds of knowledge to it, but sometimes I also want to create something, for instance. And in this case, because we have a Safe Travels Copilot, what I want to do is I want to create travel plans. So I'm going to create a topic and I'm going to select from blank. And then I'm going to give it a title called Travel Plans. The first thing I need to do when I'm in a topic is I need to add trigger phrases. So that means that I need to add phrases that Copilot Studio can use to trigger this topic. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to edit this and I'm going to add some phrases. For instance, travel plan. And I'm going to add, can you help me build a travel plan? For now, I think this is fine. So I'm going to close it down again, and I'm going to go to the next step. And what I personally don't like when I use a Copilot or a chatbot, I don't like Copilots that ask a whole bunch of things. So when I want something, I don't want question 1, I need to answer it. Question 2, I need to answer that one as well. Question 3, then I get another answer. That's basically what I don't like. So I'd rather have a form. And that's what we can do with adaptive cards. So I'm going to add the Ask with Adaptive Card node. And when I do that, I can click on the icon here, and then I can already paste a adaptive card that I have. So what I can click on is the Expand button. And here you can see the whole adaptive card that I added here in this part. And when I exit this, you can already see that there is a sample basically of that adaptive card, and you can see that we ask 2 questions. Where are you going to? How many activities are you looking for? And there's a submit button. So that's basically what I want to ask. It's almost a little bit of a form. And the next thing I want to do here is I want to call an action. And here we have the option to create a prompt. And this is the AI prompts that I was talking about. And when I click on this, it will open the prompt builder from AI Builder. And then I can define my prompt. I can give it a name. I can give it a prompt. I can start creating the inputs, for instance. So let's hope my browser is going to work. Yeah, here we are. So let me add travel plan as a name, and I'm going to paste the prompt here. And the prompt is even a typo in there. So let me fix that one. But it says, please give me number options for activities in destination for people who are there for the first time. Please return a numbered list with emojis in the name of the activity and give it a brief description. These little things here, like number and destination, I added those to have some kind of placeholder. What I want to do now is I want to add inputs, and I want to replace these placeholders with those inputs. So let me add a first input here. And I'm going to call that number. And I'm going to give it a sample data of 3 in this case. I'm going to add another input. And I'm going to call this destination. And I'm going to use sample data Amsterdam, the Netherlands. And what I want to do now is I want to replace these little things here. And I want to click on insert and then replace them with the actual inputs. So I'm going to remove destination as well. And let me make sure that I'm on the right spot. And I'm going to add destination here as well. And with this, I already have, because of the sample data, I already have some sample data, so I can test out the prompt. So because I already have the sample data of 3 and Amsterdam, Netherlands here, I can click test prompt, and that will trigger the large language model, and it will give me a couple of options here. So here I can see that I have 3 different options for Amsterdam here. Another thing that I want to really show you is that we have the data used part, and that's currently in preview. And what I can do here is I can add data from Dataverse. And what's also really cool is that we have output here. So we can select if we want text output or JSON output. And JSON is, of course, really interesting when you use Power Apps or Power Automate, where you need a little bit more structured data. In the case of Copilot Studio, the text makes a little bit more sense. So I'm using that one here. Another really cool thing is that we can actually switch the models. So we have now GPT 3.5, that's the default, but I can also switch to 4.0, for instance. And I can change the temperature. So if I wanted to give it a little bit more freedom, I can change the temperature here. If I click test prompt now, for instance, it would use GPT 4.0. And you can already see that it's a little bit more chatty. So you can see that it didn't just respond with the 3 options, but it gave me a little bit of an intro as well. So it says, sure, here are 3 activities you can enjoy in Amsterdam, the Netherlands, for instance. When I'm ready, I can now save the custom prompt. And that should save it in the environment that I'm in. And when I'm done with that, I can close out of this. I can click on call and action. And what I can do here is I can enter travel, and I can select the travel plan prompt that I just created. Now we have the option to enter the inputs. And of course, because we already had that adaptive card, I can now select an output of that adaptive card. So I can click on destination, and with number, I can click on number. And that will make it possible for me to put those the outputs of the adaptive card into the inputs of the prompt. And next, I also want to have an output, because I want to make sure that everything that comes back from the AI prompt, I want to store that. So I'm going to click create new, and I'm going to change the variable name here and call this prompt output. And the next step that I'm going to do is I'm going to add the send a message node. And what that does, it gives me the option to insert the output variable that we just had with the prompt output, and I can insert that in a message, because we also want to communicate back, of course, the output of the prompt. So when I click on that, I can look through all the variables that I have, and it's pretty interesting because it has the prompt output, which is the full output of that prompt, but it also has a couple of parts in there. The finish reason, for instance, and the text. In this case, I'm going to use prompt output.text because I only want to have the text output of that prompt. And now we are basically done with the topic. So let's save it. And if that all goes well, there we go. I'll refresh the testing part. And what I can do now is I can ask for travel plan, for instance, and that will trigger the adaptive card. I can finish reason. I can enter the Chicago, Illinois, for instance, because Ignite is coming up, and I want 3 activities there. I can click on submit, and that will fire the AI prompt, and it will respond with some activities that I can do for the Chicago area. And that's basically how easy it is to use those AI prompts in there. And this is just an example for travel, but you can imagine that this is like a really useful pattern to use in a lot of scenarios, because this is just for travel, but there are lots of business reasons to think of as well. Let me go back to my slides here and give you a couple of extra resources, because what you can also do is you can go to the AI prompts link that is here. So at the top you can see aka.ms/mcs/AI prompts, and that is the link that will show you the documentation of how to create those AI prompts in Copilot Studio. We have a whole bunch of prompt samples, just like the travel prompt that I just showed. You can see those at AI Builder prompts. You can, of course, try out Copilot Studio, and there's also a really good resource for the implementation guide. So when you are working with Copilot Studio and you want to enable that inside of your enterprise organization, it is really nice to have that implementation guide, which helps you see what you can do with Copilot Studio. And with that, I'm going to hand it back to Vesa.
Excellent, awesome stuff. Thank you, Daniel, and awesome to see also live demos for sure. Always or demonstration of these things as a step-by-step. Actually, both did a great job of explaining step-by-step on how to get started and how to experience and all of that. So awesome stuff. Now, thank you, Satya. Thank you, Daniel. Awesome AI-powered demos. Next week, just to recap on the schedule. Next week we do have 3 demos, so that's going to be a really busy week. We're trying to get the intros then squeeze to 10 minutes or something. I need to do something over there, but because we want to have those 3 in. But again, we'll continue the series related on AI 0 to 1. I think Anshul is going to do the next one. I need to double check that with Anshul and Satya, but that's on building teams AI parent bots that can call sub-child bots using Azure OpenAI. Then Milan Kaur is going to talk about building a WhatsApp bot for Azure with Azure Communication Services. Really, really cool. Azure Communication Services keeps on getting new features and capabilities, a lot of innovation over there. And then Johan is going to actually have a really interesting scenario also on building your own serverless AI chat with retrieval augmented generation using LangJS, TypeScript, and Azure. A lot of buzzwords there. Retrieval augmented generation means RAG, and basically building a chat which is based on a real data, well, more precise data than just randomly what's in LLM. Now, that's happening on 24th of September, and a lot of interesting stuff also in the roadmap and in the agenda within the following weeks. Now, in the meanwhile, as these calls are happening, one of the great options to engage with the community is to use our Discord server, which has now more than 2,240 members. Awesome to see the engagement in here. This is not really intended to be a competitor for any of the other forums, but we wanted to check if we go to where the people are, like in Discord. There's a lot of people in Discord, so why wouldn't we actually have a Discord server? If people are willing to use that or want to use that as the engagement model, we want to embrace that option as well. And we can see a lot of engagement on there as well. AKMS Community Discord is the easiest way to get started there. We are always looking at feedback within this calls as well. So if you have a few minutes time, please fill in the form. That will also guarantee that we're able to keep on doing these calls in the future because we don't want to obviously stop them. But there is always a resourcing task. So having that feedback in related on what do you feel about it, how can we improve, are this valuable for you, is super, super valuable for us to show within our leadership. But that's it for this week. The recording will be available at the Microsoft Community Learning YouTube channel within 24 hours. If you subscribe there, you will get notified. You can also subscribe in Twitter and LinkedIn and all of those options where we will share whenever the recordings are available. The next call is on September 24th, as mentioned. And you can download all of the recurrent invites as AKMS community calls. A lot of interesting options over there to sign up as well. But that's it for this week. Thank you one more time for Satya, and thank you, Daniel. Awesome stuff. Thank you for sharing also the links, Daniel, in the chat, and also Satya earlier on the samples. Awesome stuff. And thank you for lively discussion again on the chat. Please keep the feedback coming and stay up to date what's happening within the community. Thanks, everybody. Let's stay in touch. Bye-bye.